Hi there, my name is Maddie. I am from Chicago, Illinois, in the United States, and this is my second year working in Madrid as part of the Auxiliares program. I work in Colegio El Cantital, which is located in Las Rozas, and I work with secondary students, so students from Primero de la ESO to Cuarto de la ESO. As an auxiliar, my formal title is English Teaching Assistant. However, my responsibilities in the classroom can look very different depending on the classroom that I'm working in and the teacher that I'm working with. So I work in English, PE, history, music, and technology classes. So depending on the teacher and the classroom that I'm in for the day, my responsibilities can look very different. A lot of times I do take on more of a lead teacher role in that I will prepare a lesson and I will come to class and I will be the head teacher for the day and I will guide the students through that lesson for the entire 55 minute period. In those cases, the Spanish teacher is always there as well and they offer support to me and help me manage the classroom. In those cases when I am more of a lead teacher, I really enjoy doing presentations, but also really giving activities for the students to do that get them practicing their public speaking skills and allow me to interact with them on a more individual and personal level as opposed to talking at them from the front of the class. I think they get more out of it that way as well. In other classrooms where I'm not necessarily the lead teacher, I do take on more of an assistant role. And so in those cases, I help small groups of students work on whatever the teacher has given them for the day, or I present a part of the curriculum that the teacher has presented. So it just depends. But in those cases, I'm not the one in front of the class speaking the whole time and presenting my ideas. When I am the lead teacher, it's helpful. A lot of the teachers that I work with, the Spanish teachers, will provide me with some sort of idea of the material that they would like me to cover, and then I will prepare a lesson based on that. But in the cases that I'm not the lead teacher, I do take on just more of an assistant role where I walk around and talk with the students and help them to accomplish the tasks that they have set up for today from the teacher. I think the Auxiliares program does a lot for student learning. I think it makes them really excited to be able to speak with a native speaker, and that is sort of motivating in a sense. Even though my students watch TV shows and movies in English and they listen to music in English, and English is readily available to them through a lot of media, I think that being able to speak in person with a native speaker makes the language just more tangible for them, and I think that's motivating and they're more inclined to use it, and it offers them an opportunity to not just hear English but to also engage in conversation with me. And so I think that just makes the language more tangible and it makes them able to use their skills, which I think is exciting for them, and it gives them an opportunity to use what they already know and to further develop their speaking skills in particular, because even though they might listen to English, they might not get a chance to speak it all the time. And so I think that really helps their learning, and I think it makes them excited as well. As far as cultural awareness, I think in my role as auxiliar, I've tried to convey my America to the students, because a lot of times when I ask my students, what do you know about the US, they'll shout out the general stereotypes and generalizations that come with any country, and they'll often talk about New York City or California, and I'm not from either of those places, and so I get to explain to them what my part of the US is like and what life is like there. And so I think they get to learn about different parts of the country, and they get to learn about someone's actual experience living in the US and how that might not fit what they see in movies and what they see on TV shows, and how in some ways it does. In some ways my life is very typical what you see in the movies, but in other ways it's not. And so I try to really be purposeful in that, in my role as auxiliar, is to portray my life in the US as I have lived it, because it doesn't always fit the generalizations that are put forth by media and such that my students know about. But I think that also goes both ways. I believe I'm here to learn as well. And so I really try to, in my classes, let my students know that I'm here to learn from them, and I want them to teach me about Spain and what their culture is here in Spain and what that means to them. And so for me as well, to kind of break down those generalizations that I might have had about Spain before coming here, to hear from the students what their lives are like here. And so I think that's very empowering for them to be able to share that with me, and to sort of have that exchange is very exciting. And I think I as an auxiliar get a lot out of it, and I think the students too enjoy it as well. So I think that's very powerful too. As far as language competency, I think that the auxiliaries help because we are there to help the students improve their speaking skills. They can listen to English. It's very easy for them to have access to listen to English, but to be able to speak it with someone and to engage in conversation is something that might be more difficult to find, especially with a native speaker. And so I think that helps them not only use the skills they already have, but to further develop them. And so I think that helps with their language competency because it just gives them the opportunity to speak and to have a conversation with someone who speaks it natively. And then by hearing me speak, they also hear how I informally speak with my friends and family, and so they learn some American slang and how I might say things differently than a British or Australian person would. And so I think that kind of promotes a competency in the language that they would not get if they didn't have access to a native speaker. And so I think the Auxiliares program in a lot of ways really can help the students learning, and I think it goes beyond simply the English language, but also this really exchange of cultures that I think is really important and exciting for the students, and I think one of the best parts about the Auxiliares program. My overall opinion of the Auxiliares program is quite positive. For me personally, it's been a great opportunity to test teaching and to see if teaching is something that I enjoy, and so it's an opportunity for me to work in a school and to work with students, and that has been something that I think is really positive because it is a really great teaching experience, and I have learned a lot about being a teacher from the experience and from working with Spanish teachers who have been doing this for a long time. So for me, I think that's really great about the program. For the students, I think the program is really great as well. It's an opportunity for them to interact with a native speaker, which I think greatly helps their English skills. They hear me speaking as I would to any of my friends in the US, and so they learn a lot of American slang and just sort of things that they wouldn't necessarily learn from an English textbook. And they hear my accent and the way that I say things, which I think helps with their pronunciation. On top of that, I think it's fun for them to be able to connect with a person from another country and for us to sort of share our different cultures and for us to learn from each other in that sense. So I think that that is something that's really great about the program as well, and probably one of the best things about it.